The theft of a small but pricey car part is soaring in Denver. Police say catalytic converter thefts increased by 900% from 2020 to 2021.
9 News reporter Kelly Rinke shows us why the city thinks a new state law won't be enough to stop it.
Less than 30 seconds is all it takes to steal a catalytic converter from your car, leaving you with a big headache.
There's instances where people have had multiple catalytic converters stolen on the same vehicle, and insurance isn't picking up the cost.
DPD says thousands of people faced this problem last year. It's why they want the city council to pass a new ordinance they think will help reduce the number of stolen catalytic converters.
So we do have instances where individuals are stealing them and trying to make a quick buck.
DPD's idea would require auto parts dealers to report to police within 1 business day every time they purchase a used catalytic converter. This would go beyond a new state law, which requires dealers to make records available to police only upon request.
It's an organized criminal enterprise stealing these parts and then selling them to secondhand dealers to be melted down.
Police think getting this information directly will help them find the thieves and eventually discourage people from hitting more cars.
They've been stolen from my yard, they've been to my front yard, they've been stolen from our family's restaurant in broad daylight.
City council members know how frustrating this can be.
I will just comment that this has happened to my wife at an RTD park and ride. It is disruptive, it is expensive.
Just as fast as this thief, the safety committee voted yes and sent the proposal along for another vote. In Denver, I'm Kelly Rinke, 9 News.
And people are stealing catalytic converters all over this city, and not just in one area. But Denver police say the airport and RTD park and rides are some of the biggest hot spots for these thefts. The most common vehicles that are hit are Hondas and Toyotas, according to police.
A small group gathered at the state capitol tonight to protest after a police shooting this past weekend in Lodo injured 6 innocent people. Around 1:30 Sunday morning, Denver police shot a man outside Larimer Beer Hall. Police say that man pulled out a gun. Denver police fired a total of 7 shots. 7 people, including the suspect, were injured. And we're learning new details tonight about 2 of the officers who were at the scene when that shooting happened. Denver police will not confirm which officers fired shots, but an affidavit and other documents are now filling in a couple of details. An affidavit shows Officer Kenneth Rowland said the man they were stopping outside Larimer Beer Hall early Sunday morning had a gun before police fired. Records from the district attorney's office in Adams County show Rowland was subject to an internal investigation at his past department, Thornton Police. Rowland was one of several officers involved in the arrest of a suspected drug dealer back in March of 2017. The suspect died during a struggle with officers when one of them, not Rowland, used his taser. The DA for Adams County did not file criminal charges against any of the officers. Thornton police officers, including Rowland, initially refused to be interviewed. They did so after the department began an internal affairs investigation. Rowland has no complaints from his time with Denver police. Court records show Officer James Cambria was standing near Rowland before the shooting this past weekend, and that he told officers he was afraid for his life. Denver City records show Cambria was fined for 2 days of work back in 2020 for failing to thoroughly search a suspect before that person went to jail. Denver police will not identify the officers involved in the shooting in Lodo or confirmed which three officers fired their shots. We learned their names by getting an affidavit that was not redacted by the department. Denver police say they will release body camera video after the investigation is complete and turned over to the district attorney.
Republican Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters is facing her 2nd arrest warrant in 2 weeks. A judge issued the warrant because of an email Peters wrote in violation of her bond. Peters is not allowed to contact the office that she used to oversee. That's a condition of her bond as she faces felony charges for tampering with voting equipment. Yet Peters included her county's election director on a mass email asking for a hand recount in the GOP Secretary of State primary. Peters lost that race by more than 88,000 votes. Last week, Peters traveled out of state without a judge's permission. Mesa County's Republican district attorney asked for her bond to be revoked. A judge did not send Peters to jail, saying he'd like to give second chances. No word yet when she'll be back in court for her 3rd chance.
But I'm doing well, I'm getting a lot of work done, going to continue to get it done. And in the meantime, thanks for your concern. And keep the faith. It's going to be okay.
President Joe Biden announced on Twitter today that he has COVID. He says his symptoms are mild and that he's still getting work done. The president's diagnosis comes after a trip to Massachusetts yesterday and a recent trip to the Middle East.
Where was he infected? I don't think we know. He's certainly going to isolate for at least 5 days, and he will return to normal activities after he's had a negative test.
The president is fully vaccinated and double boosted, but the 79-year-old is considered to be in the high-risk group. In the meantime, he is taking an antiviral pill, which is effective at preventing severe illness.
Some of the former President Trump's top aides say when rioters attacked the U.S. Capitol, the president gave a green light to the violence instead of trying to stop it. Tonight's hearing with the House committee investigating the insurrection focused on the president's refusals to call off the attack. Some of the president's aides testified the president watched the attack live on TV. They said advisors told him multiple times to tell the rioters to go home, but he refused.
And I've seen the impact that his words have on his supporters. They truly latch on to every word and every tweet that he says. And so I think that in that moment, for him to tweet out the message about Mike Pence, it was him pouring gasoline on the fire.
At the same time, Vice President Mike Pence's security team was trying to evacuate the vice president. The committee shared anonymous testimony from a White House national security official who said members of Pence's team were so scared for their safety, they used radios to pass on their goodbyes to family members. Eventually, the president agreed to a tweet telling his followers to stay peaceful after he recorded an unscripted video emphasizing the false claim that the election was stolen and calling the rioters special. The president retired for the night. The committee will hold more hearings in September as it continues its investigation.
A man from Erie, Colorado will plead guilty to entering the U.S. Capitol during the insurrection. Logan Grover will face up to 6 months in prison. Court documents show Grover went to the president's rally, then went back to his hotel room before heading to the Capitol. Investigators say he took pictures of the rioters and pushed past the Capitol police officers trying to keep people out. Grover is pleading guilty to one charge of parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building. It's a lesser charge than the 4 counts he was initially charged with. He's facing up to 6 months in prison, 5 years probation, and a fine of up to $5,000. Grover is expected to be sentenced in December. He's one of at least 15 people with Colorado connections charged in taking part with the insurrection. It's one of the few documented cases of voter fraud in Colorado. Barry Morphy accepted a plea deal today after he voted with his missing wife's ballot. 9 News reporter Mark Salinger spoke with his lawyer about the punishment he'll face now.
This is the ballot Barry Morphy submitted for his wife Suzanne, months after she went missing from her home in Chaffee County. The ballot has Suzanne's name on it. The signature shows Barry's. Thursday, he accepted a deal offered by prosecutors, pleading guilty to lesser charges.
He knew that she wanted to vote, and he thought she might come back. He didn't know where she was, and he was carrying out her wishes.
Iris Eaton represents Morphy. She says Barry made a mistake, but didn't think he was doing anything wrong when he submitted his missing wife's ballot.
What he did is he signed his name on the witness line, not concealing that it was him. He signed his signature on the witness line, and he left the signature where she would normally sign blank. He did not make a mark there, trying to deceive the clerk that by chance she had signed it. He did not sign or forge her name, making it appear that she in fact signed it.
Morphy was charged with murder and Suzanne's disappearance. Those charges were dropped in April by District Attorney Linda Stanley. She claimed that investigators were close to finding Suzanne's body, buried under snow on top of a mountain. 3 months later, in the middle of the summer, her office has released no indication they found any evidence.
I have not heard a single thing about whether or not they've searched that area. No one has indicated that they've seen anybody searching in that area, nor has Mr. Morphy been contacted regarding any potential search.
Suzanne's whereabouts remain unknown. In Denver, I'm Mark Salinger, 9 News.
Morphy will be on probation for a year and have to complete 32 hours of community service. Suzanne Morphy has been missing for more than 2 years with little evidence that has been found.
Monkeypox cases are on the rise, and health officials are not able to keep up with the demand for a vaccine.
And it was hot today, but we're expecting it to be even hotter tomorrow as we approach triple digits here in Denver. I'll have those details for you after the break.